anymore. You don't look my way like before. I don't take a...
My name is Gina and I'm a musician based in Perth, Western Australia. I make music that could be considered a crossover between John Mayer and Sade. Think guitar solos meet soft vocals, and that's kind of where my music sits. I also work as a session musician, playing on other people's recordings and in their bands. Making music is a funny thing because it requires heart and soul on one side and then technical ability and proficiency on the other side. And when you can get those two things to intersect, I think that's when you can really make something great. I think that's why so many musicians become collectors, because initially we start out collecting stories and collecting ideas, and then that progresses into collecting more tangible things. And collecting the tangible things is not as materialistic as you might expect. When you look at how much skill goes into making a tool as beautiful as this instrument, you can't help but be impressed by its precision. But then you look more closely and realize how beautifully it's made. And then you can't help but fall in love, because you realize that that's kind of a reflection of what you're trying to do as an artist. You're trying to find the balance between artistry and mastery, and so you can't help but be inspired.
You don't say you do, and I've been dreaming about a white Christmas, a white Christmas for two, but now I realize that you'll probably miss it, just like I miss you.
So much of the life of an artist is spent in isolation. We practice on our own, we learn on our own, we create on our own, and then we refine on our own. And I think that to have a companion to do those things with is really important and really nice. So I think that that's why there's such a big overlap between musicians and watch collectors. There's something about strapping on your guitar before you get on stage that makes you feel slightly less alone. It's as though you've got this weapon by your side that you can tackle any kind of situation that arises with. And I think the same could be said about watches. You strap your watch on at the beginning of a day, not knowing what the day has in store for you, but you feel as though you can kind of take it on because you're not quite so alone. Now that might sound funny to people who don't collect things. They might just see these objects as material items, but realistically it extends so far beyond materialism, and it's much more about companionship. As life moves on, there seems to be less and less time for creating and playing, and everything seems to become more and more serious. Now, it's interesting to exist as an adult who's an artist by profession, because by definition, we're paid to play professionally. So that's always an interesting thing to navigate. But I think what's more important is the idea of playing and expressing yourself. I think nowadays everything is so prescribed. We're all given a cookie cutter life and these goals and milestones that you must achieve, but there's not much room to be yourself outside of that. And so I think without art, we really don't have much left. The world doesn't seem to allow fun or individuality or expression, and if they do, it's considered out there. So to collect things like watches and guitars and instruments is a way of expressing oneself. It's a way of giving a little bit of levity to the situation. We're all so serious all the time. And so why not have a pink watch on? Why not have a purple wristwatch? Why not? Because the human experience can be pretty tricky. And I think we should take all the opportunities we can to have a break from that. The best part of what I do is that I get to make things. So I start each day with a blank slate, and by the end of the day, I've got something that would never have existed if I hadn't made it that day. Be it good or bad or indifferent, it doesn't matter, but the fact is that it's uniquely mine. And I think that's fundamentally what every person wants, be it an artist or not, is we want to have something that's uniquely ours, some way in which we can leave our fingerprint or our mark on the world. And I think that having fun, finding joy in the small things and creating is the best way to do that.
Time keeps passing, but my feelings haven't changed. I'll be okay someday. Someday.